Welcome to Better with Art. I'm Melinda, and I'm here to encourage you to reclaim your creativity and practice creative self-care with weekly small art prompts that can be done in an art journal or on paper if you don't have one. This week, all you need is your favorite art supplies for laying down areas of color. I have my Liquitex basics that I typically use for my gel printing and collage paper making. You can use regular inexpensive craft acrylics, which I typically do in my Better with Art. But this is what I had handiest. I'm using my typical limited color palette of quinacridone magenta, phthalo blue, and cadmium yellow medium hue. As you may be familiar with, I typically use Payne's Gray instead of black, and I don't usually use white because it makes my tissue paper a little opaque. But for today, I don't want to take anything darker, but I also want to soften the effect of my lightning, so I'm using light pink. And all we're going to do today is lay down color. We can mix and blend. We just want to cover 2 pages with color. I forgot to mention, you don't actually have to use paint at all. You can use markers, which I'll be doing a little bit of shortly. You can rinse your brush if you would like. You also don't need a gel plate. If you notice that that's what I'm using as my palette, I've decided to use that to create an interesting collage paper with my leftovers. If you don't want your colors so blendy and mixy, you can be more mindful and cover yours with color differently from mine. You can also use colored pencil or watercolor. Whatever works for you, convenience-wise, or just in what speaks to you, so to speak. So this, I did go a little darker than I intended, but I like it. I like the rich color. As you have heard me say, if you have watched any of my tissue paper tinting or earlier this year, I did do a Better with Art project, if you will, that was doing something similar to this, but on pieces of scrap paper, which also shows that whatever you have on hand works. If you do your Better with Art on paper, I do suggest that you have a folder or something to keep it in, because one of the benefits of art journaling is privacy. Not having to worry about what others think. So I did, as I said, go darker with that than I thought I would. That's okay. I'm going to spread this out on my gel plate. And this is blendier than I expected also. But again, it's about the process. It's the pleasure of the making. more importantly than how it turns out. So this is kind of thick and parts of it were getting kind of dry, so I'm going to set this aside. And as my pages are still wet, I'm going to move on to a different medium. I'll also set my acrylics aside and move on to markers. These are the Bic Intensity that I have also used in the past. And again, it's not about any particular effect. It's about enjoying creating. I don't know about you, but I have very much found the therapeutic effects of just laying down color. And that's all I'm going to be concerned about right now. That and filling up my entire 2 pages. I really do wish that summer could be longer, and that the days that sunlight lasts into at least a little left after 9 p.m. I'm really keyed into the amount of sunlight. I really don't function as well when it's already dark by dinner time. Maybe I should keep dark colors to my edges. Seasonal affective disorder is a real thing. And art helps. So I don't have to worry about that yet. Except I do. It's getting better. I mean, I'm working on it, but even as we approach the end of June and when we switch over from the days getting longer to the days getting shorter, I can get, I guess you'd call it panicky. I can get a little panicky over the realization that that's coming. And I'm sure some of you will think that sounds silly. Others of you will identify. So as you can see, filling in color with a marker takes longer. And these are also fine tip. They're not the finest tips that came in this set, but still. Perhaps I should focus on one page for now to move on to other color. So I know some of you who have found your way here also followed my other series, my 100 collage paper series. back with Wednesday videos finally, which are also intended to encourage you to be practicing creativity. But they are my outside the art journal art. You get to see some of the pieces I'm working on for art shows or sale. And right now I'm demonstrating little tips and techniques that I use. Oh, and where I was going with this is I have been talking about my translucent layer collage workshop coming up online. And yes, things are continuing in that direction. It's just keeping up with everything is not easy. And I'm focusing a little more on filling in all of those gaps. The title of that workshop is Seeking Solace, which is based in the title of the two main pieces, the two first pieces that I shared my technique with. The first was called Solace, and it was part of a little annual art show. Little one, when I say that, it's basically literal. It's the annual 6x6 fun, F-U-N, capital F-U-N, fundraiser at the Fine Arts Center that's closest to my home. Anyone in the community can create any type of artwork that is 6x6. And they are sold for $15 each to raise money for the Art Center. So Solace sold, and then for a recent Sunday Artist show, I created another piece with that basic technique, and it's called Seek. And I won second place in my category of emerging artist. So Seeking Solace is what I ended up using as a title, because one thing about our art is the positive psychological impact it has on us. That's why there is Better with Art. I reclaimed my creativity in 2022 with the 100-day project. I let it be my motivation to commit to making art every day for 100 days. And, well, there was no turning back. I don't know why or how I left behind my art making for the most part for years, despite knowing what a positive impact it had on my mental health. So on New Year's Day in 2023, I launched the 52-week art journal journey with weekly art prompts. That can be done relatively quickly in art journal. Some of them got a little long. And now I try to provide options that if you only have a few minutes, that's all you need. If you have a little longer and can take some time, you can expand it for as long as you'd like. I'd like the edges of that purple to be a little more blendy, but given how the rest of it went, but it's okay. And have that lone bit of orange there. So at the end of my 52 weeks, at the end of 2023, I couldn't just leave this behind, so I started Better with Art with no particular end date in sight. You can follow along every week, drop in and out as your schedule allows. If you have been following and you ever drop out, that's the great thing. You can always come back. And I'll be here every week with something new, and all of the other videos are still here. Take a look for something that strikes your fancy whenever you feel the need for some art inspiration. All right, we are getting there. I was going to do some watercolor. There's another demonstration that this project can be done any way you see fit. So I will leave that side for another time and turn the page. Taping down pages for a watercolor is very helpful. Not as easy with a 2-page spread, but you can put paper in between your pages because you want to protect your previous work, your previous play. So we could put that in like that. I think what I will do for convenience and time's sake is just turn this around, get one page out by itself, and I will put this under so I don't have quite as much of a mess to pick up later. I'll get out my inexpensive Basic 8 Crayolas. Do make sure anytime you are using watercolor to make sure they are totally dry before you close it. Handy dandy water spray bottle, always good for watercolor. Cup of clean water. Watercolor brush or soft round brush of any type that you have. And I think for this wash, I'll spray some water, some pigment, and play. All right, the water is a little too spotty to do what I had in mind. So I thought I would just spray it again, but I think what I'll do first is add more color. And again, you don't have to do yours exactly like I am. And okay, I have to switch gears again because I was putting it down way wetter over here, so it's not, that's a little much to also spray, so that's okay. Again, it's the process over the product. Now, you've probably heard me say how much I love the Crayola Basic 8 because it's inexpensive and, at least in the United States, easy to obtain. I typically get mine at a $1-ish store, but the colors can be a little intense, but color mixing is so much fun. And I'm not going to go with any of my muted colors. I often do with the Crayola set where you mix complementary colors. I'm just going to go a little more bold, though wasn't thrilled with the green, so I did add a little blue. And I think I'll, instead of just letting it blend on the page, create a reddish orange, orangish red. And again, just fill the page with color. It can be so incredibly therapeutic. With the watercolor, sometimes one of the great things, and again, I'm going a little fast because it's a video and your time is precious also. But one of the things that's great about watercolor is to watch the color spread through the water. So whatever else you have going on this week, take time for creative self-care. It's not a waste of time. We cannot be our healthiest when we're not taking time to exercise our creativity in ways we enjoy and find meaningful. We are wired for creativity, made in the image of the Creator. As I said, I will be back next week with another small art prompt, and it will be a continuation of this project. We will be using our colors as a background for another project. I love letting the heavier pigmented paint run through. But yeah, doing it like this is a little messy. And I got way too much water through there to keep a deep color, but one of the fun things with watercolor is how you can lift the color back up. But I don't really want pale spots, so we'll add some more color there. Give a little more yellow in this. If you feel inspired to make your own art, exercise your creativity, give me a thumbs up. Feel free to comment what you're working on and how the project goes for you. If you haven't yet, subscribe so you can stay up to date both with what I'm doing and encourage YouTube to share my videos with more people so I can encourage more people to reclaim their creativity and practice creative self-care with small art making. If you would like to be part of a very encouraging, small, slowly growing community, there will be a link to sign up for a link to the Better with Art Facebook group. You will also receive emails from me, which it's been a little while since I got one out to everyone. And they will never be more than weekly. I won't spam you. I unfortunately won't keep up with you very well either, at least not this summer. But the Better with Art Facebook group is a great, encouraging place to share what you're working on and be encouraged by others on this creative self-care journey, and give you an opportunity to encourage others. It's not always easy to take the time to do what's good for us, especially if we enjoy it so much that it can seem like an indulgence. It can seem like an indulgence to sit down and just take time to just make art. But it is so good for our mental health. Make art, friend.